911 emergency.
Hi, how you doing? This is security from Beverly Hilton.
Hi, what's going on?
I need paramedics. Apparently, I got a 46-year-old female found in the bathrooms. That's all I've got right now, but they're requesting paramedics.
Oh, okay. Female fell in the bathroom. What room is she in?
I'm not sure if she fell or she was in the bathroom with the water. 434, I'm sorry.
That's room 434?
Yes.
Okay, and there's not east, west, or anything else? There's room 434?
Yeah.
Okay, and you don't know if she is conscious of breathing at all?
Apparently she wasn't breathing, and she's 46-year-old.
She was not breathing?
Yes.
Okay, but she is breathing now?
I don't know.
Okay.
The person that called me was irate and didn't get much out of her.
Okay, you
I've got security going there now.
Okay, we'll send police and fire over there with a person not breathing. Did it sound like the person was still not breathing?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, we'll get them there for not breathing. Is there any way you can get me to the room so I can try to do CPR?
Yeah, we're going there now.
Can you get me into the room so I can try to give CPR instructions?
Oh, I'm sorry. No, because she kept hanging up on us.
Kept hanging up on you?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, we're getting our units over there, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, bye-bye.
That was the call that confirmed the end of the road for singing sensation Whitney Houston, a worldwide superstar who was widely believed to be one of the greatest singers of all time. Known as The Voice, Houston was one of the most awarded performers in history and a cultural icon. She burst onto the scene in 1985 at the age of just 19, and her first studio album, titled Whitney Houston, is still the best-selling debut album by a solo artist ever. Her success continues to grow, and she made her film debut, The Bodyguard, in 1992. The soundtrack won a Grammy and became the best-selling soundtrack album of all time. Its lead single, I Will Always Love You, also won the Grammy for Record of the Year and became the best-selling single by a woman in history. However, as Whitney's career skyrocketed, so did the pressure to meet both professional and personal expectations. The intense public scrutiny and adoration became overwhelming, leading her to turn to drugs as a form of escapism from her demanding life. In the entertainment industry, where substance abuse was often normalised, Whitney may not have fully realised the dangers associated with it. At the peak of her success, she married R&B singer Bobby Brown on July 18, 1992, after dating for 3 years. Their only child, Bobby Christina Brown, was born the following year. However, heartache soon followed as the couple struggled to conceive again, experiencing multiple miscarriages along the way. But their union soon turned toxic as they shared their addictions and enabled each other's drug use, creating a cycle of substance abuse that spiraled out of control. It seems the first the public knew about Whitney's problems was at the beginning of the 2000s, when her good girl image came under scrutiny, after reports of erratic behaviour, showing up hours late to interviews, photo shoots, rehearsals, and cancelling several concerts. She was also fired from performing at the Academy Awards, although at the time her publicist cited throat problems as the reason for the cancellation. The same year, her close friend and longtime assistant Robin Crawford resigned from Houston's management company, later saying it was because Whitney declined help for her drug dependency. It was also reported that her mother, Cissy Houston, and others attempted an intervention in July 1999 to encourage Whitney to seek drug treatment, but it was unsuccessful. Despite increasing negative press, Houston produced the film The Princess Diaries in 2001, and the movie became an unexpected success at the box office, grossing more than $165 million worldwide. However, onlookers were shocked by a performance at Michael Jackson's 30th anniversary special in September 2001 due to Houston's extremely thin frame. Take a look. Whitney cancelled the performance the following evening. During a 2002 interview with Diane Sawyer, she addressed rumours about drugs, famously saying, "Crack is whack," and denied having an eating disorder. The following year, Bobby Brown was charged with battery after assaulting Houston, who had visible injuries. This spelt the end of her marriage, although it wasn't until September 2006 that she finally filed for legal separation, followed by a divorce in October, citing irreconcilable differences. In a September 2009 interview with Oprah Winfrey, Houston openly discussed her drug use with Brown and her struggles with addiction, noting that it intensified after the success of The Bodyguard and her daughter's birth, leading to feelings of unhappiness and losing herself. The interview was raw and honest, and her fans were shocked at the trauma Whitney had suffered. At the time of the interview, Whitney had returned to the Billboard 200 with her final album, I Look to You. In May 2011, Houston entered rehabilitation again to address her ongoing drug and alcohol issues as part of her long-standing recovery process. But sadly, it was a battle she couldn't overcome. On the 2nd of February 2012, Whitney Houston arrived at Los Angeles in preparation for the Grammys being held on the 12th and checked into room 434 at the Beverly Hilton, under the pseudonym Elizabeth Collins. The presidential junior suite consisted of a small sitting room, bedroom and bath. On Thursday, February the 9th, Houston was a guest at Grammy nominee Kelly Price's party at the nightclub True Hollywood. Houston was there with her 19-year-old daughter Bobby Christina Brown and performed a duet with Price in the early hours of Friday morning. Take a look. Nobody could have known at the time that would be her last ever performance. At the party, Whitney Houston reportedly had a confrontation with singer and former X Factor finalist Stacey Francis, who had cited Houston as her inspiration. The two were reintroduced at the event, and everything seemed fine at first. However, tensions escalated when R&B star Ray J, who had an on and off relationship with Houston for several years, joined the conversation. According to a witness, Whitney just got belligerent. Ray was trying to defend Stacey, telling Whitney, "Stacey's family," but Whitney felt crowded out and hands were raised. The witness said that no punches were ultimately thrown, but that it was a tense exchange. Photos taken later that night showed Houston disheveled, agitated and bloated as she left. She reportedly had to be escorted from the club with blood dripping down her leg and scratches on her wrist. Friends later spoke out after the photos emerged, saying she was simply sweating from the performance. Friday, February the 10th. Houston reportedly spent Friday night at the bar of the Beverly Hilton Hotel with a group of friends. She was at the bar for a long time, drinking and being very loud, according to TMZ. Saturday, February the 11th. Houston had been planning to attend friend and mentor Clive Davis's annual pre-Grammy party at the Beverly Hilton Hotel on Saturday night. At some point in the morning or early afternoon, Houston's cousin, the singer Dionne Warwick, spoke to Houston over the phone to make sure they were seated at the same table at Davis's party. At this point, there were no signs of trouble. At between 14:45 and 1500, Whitney was seen by her personal assistant, Mary Jones. Whitney had complained of having a sore throat. The assistant told Whitney to take a bath in preparation for her friend and mentor, Clive Davis's annual pre-Grammy party. Around 3:15 p.m, Houston spoke to her mother, Cissy Houston, and everything still seemed to be fine. Jones popped out to pick up a package at Neiman Marcus. Before she left, she laid out the gown Whitney was wearing that evening. At about 3:35 p.m, Jones returned to the room, using her key to open the door. Whitney's bodyguard and brother-in-law, Ray Watson, were on the watch in the hall. Jones entered the suite, and when she walked into the bathroom, she found Whitney face down in a foot of water in the bathtub. The water was not running, but there was water all over the floor. Whitney was unresponsive. Jones called out to the bodyguard, and they pulled her naked body out of the bath. At 3:43 p.m, someone from Houston's entourage called hotel security. Police, who were already on the scene in preparation for the event later in the evening, arrived at Houston's room 2 minutes later. Officials tried to resuscitate the 48-year-old singer with CPR, but were unable to revive her. Houston was pronounced dead at 3:55 p.m. Inside the hotel room, various prescription medicines were found, as well as an open bottle of champagne. Multiple cigarettes were in the ashtray, as well as a white substance rolled up in paper, along with other drug paraphernalia. Whitney had various marks on her body, some attributed to post-mortem resuscitation. She had scald marks indicating the water was extremely hot when she got into the tub. The temperature of the bath water was 93.5 degrees. Beverly Hills Police Lieutenant Mark Rosen said there were no obvious signs of foul play and no obvious signs of a cause of death. That evening, the Clive Davis party went on as planned, with Davis saying it was what Houston would have wanted. But it was a surreal scene as celebrities reacted to the death on the red carpet with the Beverly Hills Crime Lab van parked outside, and as paparazzi camped out waiting for Houston's body to emerge. At 1:50 a.m, the Los Angeles Coroner's Office officials left with Houston's body. They declined to speculate to waiting reporters on how Whitney died. Whitney's death made headlines around the world. The coroner concluded Whitney drowned due to the consequences of atherosclerotic heart disease and cocaine use. Her death was ruled an accident. Various drugs were found in her system, including cocaine, Xanax, a benzodiazepine prescribed for anxiety, Flexeril, a muscle relaxant, Benadryl, an antihistamine, and marijuana. The combination of these drugs, along with the presence of cocaethylene, a substance formed when cocaine and alcohol are metabolized together, were all factors in her demise and exposed the depth of Whitney's drug abuse. A very sad end to a generational talent and a reminder of the human cost of addiction. In a tragic postscript to Whitney's death, on January the 31st, 2015, her daughter, Bobby Christina Brown, was found unconscious in a bathtub in her home after ingesting numerous drugs and alcohol, a fate eerily similar to that of her mother's. After being in a coma for nearly 6 months, Bobby died from lobar pneumonia on July the 26th, at the age of just 22. Whitney Houston is buried next to her daughter in Fairview Cemetery in Westfield, New Jersey.